Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Force here with some more World of Warcraft discussion. Today I'd like to talk with you about the game's heroic problem. Now, we're just 2.5 weeks into the launch of the Warlords of Draenor, and there's already a significant issue with heroic dungeons, and that is that people are dropping like flies mid-run. Nearly every heroic that I've run in the past 5 days, I've had several people leave mid-run. And it's not because we're being jerks, and it's not because we're wiping, it's because there is little to no incentive to run heroics to completion. At least not once you're geared. So let me talk to you about why this is a problem. When the first week of Warlords of Draenor was here, people were running heroics because they were gearing up. And once you have completed your 630 plus set, that's the item level, from the boss drops, there's really little to nothing in terms of value for you to complete heroics. Now, Blizzard had a planned solution, and that solution was the random chance to get better versions of heroic gear. So you can get a 630 helm from a boss, but there's also a chance to get that item Warforged, which is going to add a few more item levels and a couple of stats. You've got a chance to get that item socketed, and you've got a chance at some tertiary stats, giving you some bonuses to things like your movement speed. But the thing is, there are much better upgrades that are just around the corner, and those are coming from the crafted gear, from the raid gear, which is launching this week, and from the Apexis crystal gear. And they're not reliable. That's the other big problem of this. Those random drops for Warforged or socketed or tertiary stats, it's not reliable. Not as reliable as the end of dungeon badges that were provided in past iterations. That was a reliable path to getting upgrades. You get all your gear from the bosses, but then you still had reasons to run heroics because you could get this currency that was going to provide you with better gear than you were getting from those heroics. But to have this randomized chance to get a slightly improved, but not even probably worth the amount of time that you put in, version of the gear that you already have does not stack up against the crafted purple gear that you'll make that's 640, the raid gear that's 640 plus, or the Apexis crystal gear that's 640 plus. It's not worth the investment. So the result of all of this is that people, once again, are dropping dungeons before they finish. As of this moment, there are only 2 reasons. Once you have got your gear from the bosses, there are only 2 reasons to run heroics. One is the daily random heroic, which will give you some garrison resources, which that's a whole nother problem because people are getting to the point where they don't even need garrison resources anymore, so we might not even see people running for that. And the second thing is for the garrison inquests. Now, this is tied to why people are leaving the dungeon so early. And a lot of the time, these inquests, they're giving you, these little bag of goodies, or sometimes you're getting a trinket, or just a fun little item. But a lot of times, the item that you need to complete these quests is actually right at or near the start of the dungeon. So we'll have runs begin, people will get to the quest item, like at the first boss or whatever, and then they're just ditching. And then we have to wait for a whole new group of people. And I've had it be the case where people will join after someone has left. They will turn around, pick up the garrison inquest item, and then they'll leave the dungeon. They won't even help us fight a single mob. Like, this is a thing that's happening. And again, this is all directly tied to the fact that there's no currency, badges, resources, or reputation to grind that is incentivizing people to come and stay in heroics once again they have finished getting their 630 gear from the bosses. Now again, I believe that Blizzard had the right intention with their solution of the Warforged and socketed and tertiary stats, but as I mentioned, it's not reliable, it's barely an upgrade, and there are better upgrades right around the corner for people, or better upgrades that people are going to be getting this week from the raid, or people finally have enough materials to get their crafted stuff together. But there is a way to fix this, and I believe the way to fix it is to make it so that there is a reason for people who are geared, even who start to get some raid items, to finish those heroics. And I think the best way to do this, and the most obvious way, given the systems that are currently in the game, is to reward Apexis crystals at the end of completing a dungeon. So Apexis crystals is the currency that's currently used to get yourself some 640 plus level purple gear, and you can continue to upgrade. You start off purchasing the blue version, and then you can upgrade it higher, and you can upgrade it higher. This is a currency that people are going to be grinding for. And in the game at the moment, there's a daily quest that you can grind grind to get Apexis, that you can do to get Apexis crystals, and then you can grind these level 100 plus mobs to do it as well. If it was also rewarded from heroics, this would give people who already have a little bit of raid gear or some of the crafted purples, it will give them a reason to come to the heroics and stay till they're finished, because this is something that we obviously need. Or again, if there was a reputation that people need to grind heroics for, people would be staying, and we wouldn't have this problem of people consistently dropping like flies. I mean, it's been ridiculous. And the thing is too, this isn't so much me bitching because it's been a huge problem for me personally, because I run as a tank and there is always a new DPS to replace the last one that left. But it's a big problem for the people who run as DPS. They sit in 40-minute dungeon queues. That's literally the wait time as a DPS for heroic dungeons. It's like 30 to 40 minutes before they get in. And then if you're a DPS and you get into a dungeon and your tank stays until he gets the daily inquest after the first boss, and then he just ditches, and then you've got to wait for another tank, that could be quite a long wait, and that's a real issue. So just once again, as a quick recap, our problem is that there's no incentive to finish dungeons, heroic dungeons, once you've got your 630 item level gear, because the Warforged, socketed, and tertiary stats, it's random, it's not reliable, and it's not enough of an upgrade to actually have people want to stay. And the solution to this is to give us a reason to stay, and I think Apexis crystals is that most obvious reason. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Please be sure to comment in the comments section below your thoughts about the heroic dungeon problem in WoW, and do you have any better solutions that you can think of? Because this is a problem, and something's going to need to happen to fix it, or else heroic dungeons are pretty much going to be dead in the Warlords of Draenor. Thanks so much guys, hope you have a fantastic afternoon. I will see you tomorrow. Keep watching, and keep owning.